Welcome to Blueprint Boost for Contractors, the podcast that's your go-to source for unlocking the secrets to successful marketing, gaining valuable insights, and growing your contracting business with less stress. Your host is David Brooks, and he's thrilled to be your guide on this journey. As a seasoned expert in the contracting industry, David understands the challenges you face. That's why each episode is crafted to provide you with actionable strategies and proven blueprints to boost your business to new heights.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm your host, David Brooks, powered by Contractor Rhino and PCN. We do have a guest with us for this episode, and I'll allow him to introduce himself.
Hey, David, it's JJ Owen here. I'm the executive director of the Skilled Careers Coalition. I'm pumped to be here.
Nice to have you, JJ. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I know we were doing a little talking on the pre-read. There's no judgment that you're a Philly fan. No judgment whatsoever. I'm excited
Gotta
to
love our sports team.
Yeah, exactly. Congrats on the Phillies and the Eagles, and we'll just stop there. Yeah.
No, thank you. Thank you. So tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, and how you got started.
Yeah, so I mean, let's start with the hero here, which is the coalition. The Skilled Careers Coalition is a fast-growing big tent coalition that's working across stakeholders, like industry, government, education, parents, and most importantly, youth. And it's working across sectors, right? Like, whether it's manufacturing, construction, you name it, like we want to really be that national convener, right? We want to help bring together the collective voice for the trades holistically. We want to disseminate best practices. Someone who's working in manufacturing and running an apprenticeship program may have nuggets of knowledge to share with somebody in construction or a small mid-sized business. Like we want to talk to the multinationals down to the local business owners, right? And so that's the coalition at large is like, our mandate is to rebuild, the American workforce, right? And that is a long, hard slog. And, that kind of comes from this perspective of, we came in, we're probably a few years old now, underwritten by philanthropy. And we took a look at the issue, right? With, workforce development, career and technical education. We're like, all right, we don't want to bring sand to the beach, right? Where can we be wind in the sails instead of, wind in the faces, right? We don't need to introduce a competitive movement, right? So let's break this down. And like, I think when we looked at the issue at large, we saw a couple of, key white spaces, right, to play in. Some places do a little wildcatting, if you will, right?
Mhm.
Uh, and the first was we saw a real big opportunity to be a national convener, to be the new guy, right? We don't come in with any bias or agenda or even like even in my case, like I don't even have a legacy of working in the trades, right? Like my background's in field building and systems change, creating movements, right? On one hand, when we came into the issue, we're like, holy cow. I think there's a real opportunity to actually like get people to sit down at the table, union, non-union, right? Like trade schools and post-secondary, community colleges, like people who might be seen as having these like long hangovers of like adversarial relationships, and you're like, no, 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 like I think there's room for us all to break this down together, right? Like and come together. So that was one big opportunity. The second ish white space that we thought, hey, like there's a real opportunity here is repositioning trades as a launch pad for Gen Z, Gen Alpha, that they are high paying, high purpose, skilled careers, right? And so we're pretty intentional about the name of Skilled Careers Coalition. We're not removing the legacy of blue collar or skilled trades by any stretch, right? Like that is the backbone. That's the ethos of the movement still. Um, but for all of the population out there who maybe from an outside perspective is going, oh, I want my kid to go to a four-year college. I want, like they have this maybe biased perspective. It's like, whoa, language does matter in some cases. And I think here saying, no, 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 it's not a skilled trade. It's a skilled career, right?
Yep.
You getting on a job site, swinging a hammer, like, when you're 18, that's the first step in a career. That ain't just a job,
Yep.
right? So that's our hope there is to reposition skilled trades as skilled careers. And we've been pretty intentional in our work there. That was one of the first things that we did out of the gate was you can stand up a social media platform pretty quickly and start to get your message out. And that was where we leaned in first and foremost. And then over the last few years, we've really been rolling up our sleeves alongside, great partners to build out the coalition and kind of share a voice and disseminate best practices. So that's the big picture of the coalition. But yeah, man, I I I think that it's been interesting for me,
Mhm.
being someone who is technically an outsider, right? I grew up in Southern California. I had, spent time, my grandparents had a 50-acre almond farm in Selma, which is, just outside of the realm of influence for Fresno, California. Like, you're living ag life, right? And grandma and grandpa had moved out from the Midwest in the 50s, had a great, family-run almond farm. My uncle helped manage as well. And my parents, lived down here in Orange County and were like, kid, you got to get out of the house. So they'd send me up to the farm and for my summers. And I got to watch, like the power of, making things happen with your own two hands. Like my grandpa, when you're a farmer in the middle of nowhere, like you don't have the luxury of just calling a tech and being like, hey, the tractor's not turning over, right? Or ordering a new part. Like I watched this guy, we call him Grandpa Bud. He was a fabricator, he's a machinist, right? So I got to see him work with his own two hands. That never left me. And then oddly enough, I guess in one way or another, I started working with some tools of the trade. I played baseball my whole life, and I was a catcher.
Mhm.
And if you know baseball and catchers, they're accused of wearing the tools of ignorance because someone has to be ignorant if you really want to put on gear and take foul balls and get beat up and get dirty and get no acclaim whatsoever. And I was like, it's funny that the path that my career has taken has, from being a catcher where you're just down and in it, right? And
Mhm.
hands on. I was like, damn, if somebody would have gotten to me early, I might have been, a hell of a mason, a hell of a, carpenter or whatnot. Like I just had no idea. So it's fun. It's funny thinking about it now. It's like, the parallel paths that, your life takes. And I find myself leading this coalition. It's really great. And I do find a lot of that that sports background come into play. And also like, a lot of the guys that I'm meeting out there are like, yeah, man, I was high school stud. Now I'm the foreman on a job site and I'm kicking butt like but I came right out, laying brick or putting wire on the ground. So it's been really fun to like capture those stories and hear about everybody else's perspective.
Listen, so like you said, you don't come from the background, but now you're like immersed in it, right?
Yeah.
You're in it now, so you can see things from a different perspective and a different picture. How do you go about reaching Gen Z?
Oh, well, I mean, the irony of a 40-year-old millennial talking about this, but like the God's honest truth is you got to go to the places and spaces where Gen Z and Gen Alpha operate,
Mhm.
right? If I'm a fishing boat captain, I don't want to just drop a line in the water and pray, right? I want to get the boat on some fish and get the best chance to reel some in, right? When it comes to Gen Z and Gen Alpha, we know there's not a lack of interest. There's just a lack of awareness, right? And that's the core population that we're going after. And that's why we launched Skills Jam, which is our social media brand. It's meant to reach Gen Z, Gen Alpha where they're at with career exploration information, right? We're going on YouTube, we're going on TikTok, we're creating raw, largely unpolished videos, right? That really kind of go after two narratives. One we want to show peer-to-peer or near peer, right? I want that 13 or 14-year-old who's watching our Skills Jam video on YouTube to see that 16 or 17-year-old from Skills USA, who's competing in national championships, go, shoot, I could do that, right? Because if you can see it, you can be it, right? Um, and then on the other side, the other narrative that is huge for us is mentorship and knowledge transfer, right? We got a big issue with for every five pros leaving, you only got one coming back in. I get that that is a manpower issue, but it's also a knowledge deficit issue. Those folks are leaving and they're not passing along the info. That is so critical, right? So, with Skills Jam, we try and do content capture in such a way that you're either showing, a see it, you can, if you can see it, you can be it, peer-to-peer perspective for young people, or working with someone like Ty Pennington, right? Who is, effectively a journeyman, right? Albeit a celebrity. But he is so great in our content because he really is that knowledge translation, right? He's working alongside young people. That's what Skills Jam's audience is. It's the younger Gen Z demo who's really curious about a career. Nobody knows who Ty Pennington is. Their mom and dad, their teachers, they all know, right? And they're pumped, right? But the reason why Ty's, programming works with us and the content works with us is he's so good at connecting with young people. Like he's got that deep experience and expertise, but he's also just so self-deprecating and just willing to play the fool every once in a while, and he's so affable and lovable that way that it really like it brings the audience in. So, for us, those are the two main narratives that we share and we pursue with Skills Jam. And the whole goal, again, is to cause pause in that young person's mind. If that 15-year-old's watching a video that we did on YouTube or on TikTok with the lady plumber, right? I want them to go hold the phone. I had no idea that plumbing was so in demand and it could earn this, hourly rate. Uh, I don't want a young person redlining plumber off their potential career list just because dad and mom say a four-letter word every time they have to call one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I don't think any of us ever really figure out what we want to be when we grow up. David, I hope you're still learning. Right? I know I am. But from a very, very early age, you start crossing things off your list and it's uninformed, right? So Skills Jam, you got it. We're kicking butt on TikTok right now. We just passed 20,000 followers and we've only really been running an always on strategy in the last year.
Mm.
There's an appetite for this, right? Young people want to see and understand what the potential opportunities are out there. So yeah, man, that's how we connect with Gen Z. Don't even get me started with like, the business owners in schools, right? Like they're still setting up microsites, right? And I'm like, if y'all are going on LinkedIn looking for your plumbers or setting up jobs on, a job site, you might want to take a look at like TikTok or YouTube because there's a better funnel there, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. What are you guys seeing? Like, what are some of the cool things that you guys are seeing?
Yes, I think some of the cool things that we are seeing is, like you said, the social following there, making awareness, Instagram, and TikTok, and that's where if you have kids, that's where they live at. And with the trades, especially, people aren't really aware of, skilled labor, a different path than just the regular ebb and flow, what you know in school. But seeing a person be young and be successful, early 20s, really just navigating life, fresh out of, high school or post-secondary education, and being able to say, hey, look, I've been able to do really well in this area. I've been able to maybe even learn and then set up their own entrepreneurship from very early on, and people are looking at that like, wow, I didn't know that that was possible, or I didn't know that that was available to me. So I think that putting that awareness in there and having people tell really good authentic stories is really reaching the masses and opening up their eyes to what's out there for them. And then a lot of workshops too. I know some local programs that will, help just make youth more aware of the opportunities that are out there, and putting them in contact with platforms like yours is super huge, because again, they don't know. Like, if you don't have a person like that around you, or in the family that you may look at as being successful, having done it for a while, and longevity, then you just don't really know what's out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's so true. Authenticity is absolutely key. I also think that that's, in my conversations with small, mid-sized business owners, or even like big multinationals, like I think everybody thinks that they have to have this really polished content and this really crisp narrative.
Yeah.
And you're like, and I talked to, that high school junior who, let's be totally honest, it's a brave move to
Yep.
be a producer, right? Like there's a lot of folks that are on social media, on TikTok, on YouTube who are simply consumers. And that's okay, right? They're just watching and learning. But when you've got these emerging, creators on these platforms who are like, all right, I'm about to do my first weld.
Hmm.
Let's set up the might as well capture this thing. And oh hell, I know I'm gonna catch a little for it, but I'm gonna put it on TikTok and see what happens. And next thing you know, people want to share in that experience, right? Like watch you learn and grow. Uh, it's that authenticity that actually really works there, and which is crazy because again, like I said, everybody thinks it needs to be polished. It's as raw as like, let me just turn on my phone real quick and just give a quick take or just show you how I'm doing something. That builds a following. There's a great school that we've been talking to out of Dayton, Ohio, Hobart Welding Institute of Technology. Uh, they've got 80,000 TikTok followers. Now, welding on its own is beautiful. It's like, I mean, I've gotten stuck in the hole where I'm like, oh, that's a cool welding video. That's a cool welding video, right? But outside of that, like they're doing great, hey, like this is the context, this is the career. I know Tulsa Welding does it as well, which obviously that's a institution when it comes to some of the classic trade schools. But you're seeing it on like you're seeing people start to shift their approach, whether it's like an apprenticeship program or even just a community college cert program, right? Like everybody's like, hold up, I think I can do this fairly effectively and cost efficiently by going to TikTok or YouTube Shorts, right? And just
Hmm.
posting real stuff, right? And that's where Gen Z, Gen Alpha's at, right?
Yep.
Dude, we're working with an amazing. We've built like part of this story of success is like the partners that we've brought in. Um, when you look at Skills Jam, just recently we started working closely with our partner Blue Recruit.
Hmm.
So we never ever wanted to set up a social brand that was simply just like and subscribe.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a bridge to nowhere, right? It was never going to be just that. So started working with Blue Recruit just to test and be like, hey, let's make sure that we're doing this and doing it right.
Hmm.
And the amount of traffic we are seeing from TikTok, from YouTube, going to Blue Recruit, which, you know, the quick version is they have the front end side where you can come and do some career exploration. If you're not sure what you want to do, you got some personality tests that you can be like, yeah, like I don't like heights. Okay, cool. We're not going to recommend you be a lineman,
Yeah.
um, like or a roofer. Um, but you can go through and explore careers, and if you're ready, you can get into the education side, or you can get into you can go create a profile on their site and go into a recruiter portal, and recruiters can go direct to you. Awesome, really cool story. We actually had just we're testing. You know how when you're doing social media, like you want to test, break things, and iterate and adjust, right?
Yep.
We were just testing a campaign with Blue Recruit and having some fun, and it was a super simple ad that had a DeWalt driver up there, and it was some people scroll, some people drill. Which are you? And
Hmm.
it took you straight to Blue Recruit to explore on our page, the Blue Recruit Skills Jam page. We had a story of a young man who's in Colorado, who's AWS certified, wants to relocate to Florida, and is willing to commute 50 miles around the city that he wanted I think it was Jacksonville, Florida. I can't remember.
Mm.
He went from watching some of our content on TikTok to creating a profile and having 4 recruiters reach out within a 48-hour window.
Wow.
You know how crazy that is? Like, and it's like you don't like that for me was kind of that aha moment where it's like, let me test my bias, right? Having come up in an era where resumes and microsites and job boards, all that stuff were so big. Like I just watched a young man just say, "Nah, these are my certs. This is what I can do. This is where I want to be." And then the recruiters were like, "That's what I'm looking for. Let me reach out." And you're texting with them, right? Because again, you want to talk about the new paradigm with Gen Z. It's not email. You know what I mean?
Not at
So yeah,
all.
like little stories like that are like going like, oh my God, like this is working, right? Like this is if you want to connect with Gen Z and Gen Alpha where they're at, like you got to go to social, you got to take different approaches. You go ahead, test things out. What's the worst thing that can happen? Like you create a bad video and some people throw a little shade your way. Oh, whatever. At least they're engaged, right? Take the note and make it better and do it again. You know?
I love that because you got to put it out there, and I think that people respect the non-polished version of like, hey, we're going to attempt to do this, or this is what's available to you. And being real and authentic is, a way to reach the audience in Gen Z and then the alphas out there, and making them willing to be like, hey, look, this is possible. Like I'm going to dive into this.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's no reason not to. Like, if you're a small mid-sized owner, if you're like a regional HVAC, company, like go find a couple of your youngest techs that are likely TikTok natives
Mhm.
and be like, "Hey, I'm going to give you a long leash here, right? Here's the stay away skis. Please do not go to this. Please don't do this, this, and this, or please don't fill that. But otherwise, like, dude, document your experience. Show what you got cooking, right? Try and get a young man and a young woman sharing like what their experience is, right? Don't even get me started on like the total potential workforce opportunity with women, right? Like bringing them into the
Oh,
trades. It's huge. Like when you talk about that first narrative with Skills Jam, where it's like if you can see it, you can be it. If we're
mhm.
showing more women in the trades, then I'm like I'm a daughter dad.
Yeah.
My roster set. I got a 9 and a 6-year-old,
Mhm.
and the constant conversation that I'm having with them about like careers and what you want to be when you grow up, right? You got a natural like pull, like, they're like, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a teacher and whatnot. And then I watched my youngest like throw on her gold lame dress and like, try and do her best Taylor Swift. And I was like, okay, I love that you want to watch the Eras tour. Hold up real quick. I want to show you something. So we got to go to SoFi Stadium and Skills Jam did, and we got to talk about all the people that make that stadium run.
Mhm.
That you see Taylor up on stage right there?
Mhm.
She's only on stage because there's literally 1,000 people that help make that happen.
Mhm.
There's rigging, there's truck driving, there's light, and then you obviously got folks working the soundboard and the light board. Like the amount of opportunity there is huge. And so it's like, hey kid, you could be that. You can work on Taylor's content. I'm not going to tell you you're going to be Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Not going to go there. I mean, if you do, great, cool. But you got dad's voice, it's probably not going to happen. But you can be a part of it, right? Or like, I'm talking to my godson. I'm like, dude, mm, it's hard to make the NFL. It's really hard to make the NFL. And I
Mhm.
love that you love the sport. But yeah, you could go work at SoFi. The head of engineering was like, I hire no less than 50 people here to be 24/7 to make sure the lights are staying on, the toilets can flush. He's like, and it's a big job, right? So that's some of the stuff that we end up doing with like Skills Jam is like we want to contextualize it with like brands that resonate or things that resonate, right? Let's go to SoFi. Let's work with Warner Brothers Discovery. Let's talk with them about, hey, all the opportunities that could come with a career in entertainment, right? You love Superman? You want to work on a DC film? Get in line. That's a lot. Guess
Yep.
what, though? 20% of staffing allocated to what's it called? To Superman is probably studio ops.
Mhm.
It's probably the guys that are making the sets, right? So, that's the hope that we're like, if I can talk to that 13, 14-year-old, just give a little wrinkle,
Mhm.
right? Cause pause, then we're doing our job, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I love that. I think that often people get they overlook that, right? What it takes to make something happen, whether that's a concert or an event, or just, a stadium. It's trades and it's other people, workers behind that, skilled workers behind that that are making those things happen. Without them, it would not happen at all.
Totally. And for like that regional HVAC group that we were talking about theoretically, right? Bring the young people on the journey, right? Now, do it. You can absolutely should do it on TikTok and YouTube and like because that's those are the platforms they're using. Show some video of a job site, show some like get some candid interviews, do some fun stuff too, right? Like make it sticky. But the other side of it is outside of content, like spend time, invite young people down to the job site, invite young people in to see what's going on, because that's when it becomes really tangible, right? Like when they can touch it and understand what the opportunity is. I think I know it's hard. I mean, I'm preaching right now, but I understand it's hard to find time and make time. There's not enough hours in the day,
Yep.
right? You're like, I got to deliver under budget and on time and bring in, class of seventh graders down to talk about, what a future career might look like is probably going to throw a wrinkle in the plan. But I would argue that it's time well spent and invested because there's a good chance that either in that group or in that group's sphere of influence, somebody's gonna be like, "Did you know that you could make this?" And like, this is how you do it. And like, I saw the guys on the job site. It looked good. Like, it looked fun.
Yep.
I'm kind of into it, right? It takes a little bit of that long play. It's not enough to just like say, "Hey, I need it now." Right? You should start now, but also think about like how are you planting seeds upstream, right? How do you, if you're a small business owner, how do you pull yourself out of working in the business to work on the business? Do
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's just, taking time to have fun with, building out a social channel. It's taking time to have fun and like, go into classrooms or bring classrooms to you if it works, right? Um, so yeah, I think there's a huge opportunity there.
Yeah, I think it's so it could be overlooked, whereas like you said, everybody's busy. Like you said, it's just not enough time in a day. But you never know what that experience could do for that individual of saying, wow, like I would have never knew that. I appreciated that. Oh, I remember, years ago, when you had career day, and the fire department showed up, and I'd never been exposed to a firefighter before a day of my life, and I was like, wow, I think I might want to be a firefighter.
Yeah.
And I almost got to that point, but I didn't go through, but it was all because of that experience that I had.
Yeah. Now tell me when you had that career day and you're like, ooh, fire could be fun. What
Mhm.
did you see yourself doing in fire?
Yeah, I really saw myself driving the fire truck. Like I really saw
Yeah.
myself driving the
Were
fire
you
truck.
on the were you on the hose?
Yeah, I was on the hose. I
Were
was
you on the ladder?
I was on the hose. I was just thinking like, wow, this is amazing. And then like I was like, all right, this is what, and then I put on the gear and I was like, yeah, this is physically I had to physically get a lot stronger to be able to do this.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I mean, that was I mean, the plight of the catcher, right?
Yep.
Like, playing baseball wearing that gear, you're like, yeah. But no, like even those early aspirational careers, right? Like how do you talk to, if you could sit 10-year-old David down and be like, fire, it's a fun career. It could be really cool. I know that you see yourself driving the truck and pulling the horn and lighting the siren up and like firing off the hose. But also like there's a whole fleet of technicians out there who are diesel service techs who are making sure that these rigs can operate,
Mhm.
right? Or maybe you're into being a pilot, right? Like maybe like that career day, like one of like little Johnny or little Susie's dad comes in, and he's a pilot for United.
Yep.
Like, man, I want to be a pilot. Well, what about being an aviation tech, right? Or what about being a pilot within like the U.S. Park Service, right? Like the degree of like let's broaden the aperture a little bit. Like it's fun to like come in and lead with like, all right, you want to be Taylor Swift? This is what it's going to take. But also, did you know like there's actually a hell of an opportunity by being in the group that's around it, right? Um, yeah, like I feel like that, one of my really good buddies is a fire captain, and he's like, keeping the rigs online are half the battle, right? Like techs are massive for them, right? If the fleet's not operating, then lives aren't being saved, homes aren't being saved. So, he talks about the need for, diesel service techs and welders and like all these folks that bring keep things running, keep things moving.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge need that's out there. And because, you're involved, you have any good success stories or any encouraging stories to share?
Oh man, we get to work with it's Mr. Jordan.
Mhm,
He is a Skills USA advisor for Montecito High School.
mhm,
Montecito High School is a continuation high school in Ramona, which is just outside of San Diego.
mhm.
Okay. The continuation high school is like, I mean, he called their team the Bad News Bears, right? He runs a construction class that does everything from electrical, plumbing, HVAC, roofing, to in Skills USA, which I don't know if, do you know what Skills USA is?
Yes. Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Just, and for anybody listening, like it is the largest career and technical service organization in the US. There's 450,000 members. And all the work that they have, and the curriculum's great. Like all the lessons and all that stuff is amazing. What they're likely more well known for is they are effectively let's call them the NCAA of skilled trades competitions, right? And they have 110, over 110 different skilled trades, from like construction, manufacturing, and robotics to cybersecurity and graphic design and video news production. Like there's a whole host of trades that young people get to compete in. And Mr. Jordan has a team that competes in Teamworks. And for Skills USA, Teamworks is four students who are competing, who bring their masonry, carpentry, electrical, and plumbing together. They have to build basically half of a tiny home in a 2-day contest.
Mm,
Mr. Jordan's kids have been hanging California state championship banners for like the better part of a decade.
wow.
And he talks about how he is working with these young people who, all facing all sorts of adversities, man. Like, homelessness, hunger. Some of them are coming out of juvie. Some of them are, part of the foster system. And because of those adversities, you see them kind of like they've retreated inside of themselves. And Mr. Jordan will say, like, the value of working with your hands and showing some purpose and intention behind the work. He's like, I've seen more kids come out of my program that are just on fire, and they've figured it out. And
Wow.
it's not just that, not like, I mean, we should be spiking the football on that alone, that a young person's coming out of his program feeling, purposeful and feeling fulfilled. But also they're getting hired by Swinnerton or, the Carpenters Union. Like they're coming off out of his class with a high school degree, and they're hired. They have you seen the national signing days that happen? I think it's usually like
Yep.
early May.
Yep.
And but so they have the signing days for like these high school athletes, right? Which is like all fun. But for the trades, there are people like there's now these is a social movement where you're documenting like I'm signing my commitment to Swinnerton,
Hmm.
right? And his kids are not only getting a chance to like compete and win state titles, and they go to the national titles are in Atlanta for Skills USA every year. It's so much fun. Highly recommend anybody who's interested, go down there and check it out, or go to Skills Jam on our YouTube page, and we've got some really great content with like Ty Pennington that we've filmed there. There's some really fun videos that kind of capture the essence of it. But uh, the story behind Mr. Jordan is that he's not only finding purposeful pathways through these trades for these kids, but also getting them paid. They're getting employed, right? Straight away, which is just so cool to see. I love, like, we've done a couple of really cool videos with him over the years, and like, he delivers. He's a saint of a human.
That's amazing to be able to see just so many different, like you said, backgrounds, people, kids in different scenarios, situations, but being able to excel and get excited and be able to, start having that passion early on and then just shaping the next generation is really amazing and an opportunity to be able to see that transform before our eyes.
Totally. And it like part of it, like let's not pretend that all the agencies in the young person's hand, right? Or the educator's hand. You got to look at the supportive relationships around the kid, right?
Hmm.
So if you got parents, aunts, uncles, mentors, whatnot, you have to start to reframe the narrative, right? Like we talk about how, the trades are, a launch pad to high pay, high purpose careers, right? Um, we need parents. We need those awesome mentors and, maybe older friends in that kid's life to be like, there's a real opportunity here, and this is what you should be thinking about, right? I love hearing a story like, Wall Street Journal's had a recurring series written by journalist Taping Chen. She's had 5 or 6 different articles really about Gen Z in the trades, and they're all really fascinating. And she talks about how, like, one of the first articles that she did, they profile a young man who's in the Bay Area who is not going to go the college path. He's going to go get his welding cert and go into welding and hopefully start his own business. Mom and dad, they're double masters educated, right? They've been putting away money thinking their son's going to go to 4-year college, right? And because mom and dad are like, I'm watching him, I'm seeing how he's operating. College ain't for him. He doesn't want to go to college.
Yep.
Let's not force the issue, right? Because college isn't for everybody,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so watching them like talk about how like, oh, what we save for college, we're putting behind his, trades development.
Hmm.
And if there's money left over, that's seed money. If he wants to start his own, if he wants to go from 1 truck to 5 trucks, right? He wants to build his business. I love seeing those narratives of like, hey, these are parents who are going, I think I see the light. I think I understand that there's an opportunity there. Um, so yeah, like it's been fun to, kind of bear witness to not only how Gen Z's hearts and minds are changing about it, but like I think everybody nationally right now, like it's part of the national dialogue, is like, is college where it's at?
Hmm.
And if it's not, what are we thinking about? We thinking about we thinking about welding? We thinking about construction? Thinking about manufacturing? I can tell you right now, like there's a lot of fear about robots and whatnot. Guess what? Once those robots are in, they don't just operate forever, right? You don't get your car and drive it off the lot and never service it, right?
Yep.
Robotics technicians are in crazy demand right now.
Hmm.
Crazy demand. Um, I was watching, I don't know if you do movie night with your family. I get like my girls love to watch a movie on Friday nights, and we sit down and we were watching Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which the Tim Burton version, right? The early or mid 2000s version. But uh, and in the movie, they talk about Charlie's dad uh, worked at a toothpaste factory, and he had the job of putting the cap on the toothpaste as it came across the assembly line, right? So, and Charlie's dad loses his job, replaced by a robot. The end of the movie, as they're tying it all together, and Charlie's taking over, Wonka chocolates, and like they're buttoning everything up here, and they're like, and Charlie's dad was actually hired back at the toothpaste factory servicing the robots that took his job. Like, I'm like, yeah, that like there's an opportunity there. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's funny how you see it just popping up in your life now. Like, and again, my daughters were probably like, Dad, seriously? I was like, but see, that's what I'm talking about, girls. Like, if you like building with Legos or you like the little robot things that we're doing with Mark Rober, like you could go have a really great career just servicing tote robots within a distribution center for Amazon, right? Like, so yeah. Sorry, I get excited about stuff like that.
No, no, that's good. That's good. It's just, you when you're passionate and you're just trying to build awareness and help them learn, like that's the important part. So now that you have the initiative going, where do you see the Skilled Careers Coalition in the next 5 years?
So my hope is that we've continued to do the work, not the talking. We got to show up and listen, right? Most of what we've talked about today is around like reaching Gen Z where they're at and Skills Jam. And make no mistake about it, Skills Jam is our prize pony right now, is our flagship program within the coalition, and it's kicking butt, right? It's doing what we hoped it would do. It's also bringing in partners and voices to the coalition where we're able to sit and learn and be like, okay, tell us what the opportunity is here. Tell us, we have an advisor who he retired last fall, but he had been at John Deere for 25 years in workforce development. And he's like, there's a huge opportunity to really scale apprenticeships, not just like 18 and over apprenticeships, but like 16 and over high school registered apprenticeships in this country. Going, I mean, they've got a really cool program at Deere where you've got in the Quad Cities area at Davenport Works, which is where they make all their construction and forestry heavy equipment,
Mhm.
machinery. They had a welding gap that they needed to solve, and they're like, how do we do this? They started with 18 and over registered apprenticeship program. They're also a UAW shop, so like they were collaborating on the floor. This had a little bit of a dent made, not much. And then they took the steps to actually register it as a high school apprenticeship program. And that's when it started to move the needle. They started getting, all right, like this, we're getting 16-year-olds in on the floor doing 20 hours in the classroom and then 20 hours on the floor. And then over summer doing 40 hours. You're getting paid, earning benefits. You're starting your career path there. Uh, that for me is like a huge potential opportunity. Is like, how can the coalition support that larger mandate now of like how it's not just like work-based learning. Let's actually push in and like let's have some fun. Let's see if we can get some major employers to, de-risk apprenticeships such
Mhm.
that some small mid-sized businesses kind of come on and be a part of the community, which is what Deere has done, by the way. Like it's really cool. Like that core program was launched by them and it became a feeder of welders to the local economy, such that local businesses were like, yo, I can't run a registered apprenticeship program. Like I can't like the insurance, the legal, all that stuff, but like, can we pool wages? Can we get in on this?
Mhm.
Like, yeah. So you scale the program that way and you've created like a really interesting, not just like, work-based learning. You actually have like a full-on apprenticeship program that's kicking butt and like a 16-year-old's getting into it. So I'd love to see the coalition um, really leverage its platform to caused that kind of pause in like some of our partners and be like, here's how you can do this. It's something you should be considering. Um, and like that's part of the disseminating of best practices, right? Like that's our hope, right? I want we have a great relationship with Warner Brothers Discovery, right? And they're obviously union sets, right? IATSE is the union that they work with. Um, how can we do a 16 and over registered apprenticeship program on a Hollywood set, right? Is there a world where even if it's not, like let's have the dialogue, right? Like let's like that's my hope. Like the coalition, we want to hold up our partners. We want to lead from behind on that one. I think there's really remarkable work being done there across the U.S. in different sectors by different stakeholders. We want to hero that work, hold it up as best practice, and make sure that I don't need to have the idea, my man. I don't. But I want to make sure that if someone's looking for insights and answers, I can bridge that gap. I can bring those people together. So the next 5 years, like my hope is that we've been doing that. We've got multiple examples of, facilitating conversations, maybe we're reinventing and reimagining how how apprenticeships look here.
Mhm.
Uh, and then, my God, like I'd love to keep cooking with Skills Jam, right? Like that's a huge piece of what we're doing. I'd love for us to be able to say we actually got a million young people interested in the trades. And then we furthermore have gotten X amount hired,
Mhm.
right? Like that would be amazing, right? Because again, like I said, it's fun to make cool content and great videos, but like and subscribe is not the mandate,
Yep.
right? We want to rebuild the American workforce. It's going to take a lot of work at the top of the funnel, right?
Mhm.
Early days, just getting them thinking about it to all the way to our partnered approach, right? Like how do we make sure that our stuff, our content, our videos are filling the funnel for our partners, right? Whether it's a union program, a local contractor in Dayton, Ohio, a multinational based in the Midwest who's trying to reshore manufacturing jobs, like that's where we want to sit. We want to have fun with that.
I love it. I love it. It's been such a thoughtful conversation. Thanks so much for just being able to help move us in the right direction.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me a chance to break it down with you. I love talking about this again. Like it's fun bringing that perspective of like I'm new to the issue. I've been working in it for the last few years, but like I still wouldn't say that I've got that deep expertise.
Mhm.
And so I almost like I think about that experience that Gen Z kid is having, that 13-year-old who just watched one of our Skills Jam videos going like, "Oh man, I didn't know I could do that." I get to have that like on a regular basis, right? Like, "Oh, I didn't know about that career path." Like, "Oh, career exploration looks like that over there. Cool. Let me look under the hood a little bit." Like, so if I feel like I've come at you with a little extra energy this morning. Yes, it might be my third cup of coffee, but also like it's just so cool to see everybody leaning in right now, and it's fun to do. So I appreciate you giving me a chance to break it down with you.
Yeah, no problem. If someone wanted to reach out, where can they find you at?
So we can go to skilledcareers.org, our website. You can find me there and drop us a line. Our team's been getting a lot of folks reaching out, just being like, "Who are you guys? What are you doing? And how do we play together?" So I would love that. Also would love if you're curious about what we got cooking, go on to Skills Jam on TikTok or YouTube. Just search it and you'll find our content there. And yeah, like I mean, if you want to work together, cool, let's do it. Otherwise, also just feel empowered to start your own profiles on those platforms and start tinkering. Just like mess around with it, right? Don't be scared. Be a producer. It's all right. Like it doesn't need to be polished. It can be real, it can be authentic, and that's what works.
I love it. Love it. Well, JJ, thanks so much for joining.
You got it, David. Appreciate you, buddy.
No problem. Thanks everyone for listening to this episode. Make sure you tune in to the next one. Until next time.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Blueprint Boost for Contractors. We hope you found today's insights and strategies valuable for your contracting business. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and please leave us a review. Your feedback helps us bring content that truly matters.